Hello, you are listening to a recording produced exclusively for M-Jam from London. It is not commercially available anywhere, and the audio reading is copyright to M-Jam from London and this YouTube channel. The reader is Matthew Jones. Thank you for listening. The Markhampton Miracle by Cyril Hare. William White, formerly Detective Inspector of the Berkshire Constabulary, and now the senior partner in White's Private Inquiry Agency, called by appointment at the offices of Mark's Football Pools 2 days after Boxing Day. He was taken at once to the room of the managing director of that most famous and profitable concern, where he found a very worried and very puzzled man. "The reason I've called you in, Mr. White, is to investigate in strict confidence what appears to be the largest fraud that has ever been perpetrated in the history of this firm. I may say, in fact, in the history of football pools." If the managing director had not been so preoccupied with his own concerns, he might have noticed that White seemed rather downcast at his opening words. "The fraud relates to our 10 results pool on matches played on Boxing Day." "Quite, sir. We have reason to think that some of the winning entries, were faked." "There was more than one all-correct line, sir." "Yes, more than one. To be accurate, there were one correct line sent in from Middlesbrough, one from Redruth, and 53,619 from Markhampton and its suburbs." "How many, sir?" 53,619. "But that's impossible, sir." "Exactly. In the whole country outside this city, there were just 2 correct entries out of approximately 750,000. The Markhampton figures speak for themselves. It is a fraud on a colossal scale. How was it done? That's what I've called you in to find out." White was silent for a moment. "Well, you know as well as I do, sir, that there are just 2 ways in which a fraud on the pools is attempted as a rule. Either you fake the date stamp on the envelope containing the entries so as to make it appear it was posted before the matches were played, when in fact it was posted afterwards. Yes, well, that's quite out of the question in this case. A single dishonest clerk in the post office might try it just once to win for himself or to oblige a pal, but it couldn't possibly be done on this scale. Besides, the winning entries came from all over the district. Every post office in the neighbourhood would have to be involved. The other type of fraud is, of course, an inside job. One of your employees adds the winning line to an entry and slips it in among the others." "But you can see for yourself that won't do. Even if my staff weren't honest, which they are, and I have a pretty strict internal security service, I may tell you. Have you considered how long it would take to mark 50,000 entries? It would mean a conspiracy among half the girls in my office. It's simply out of the question. You'll have to think of something else." "Well, at the moment, sir, there's nothing else I can think of, except that by some extraordinary freak all these entries are genuine." "Ha!" Mrs. White greeted her husband eagerly when he got home that evening. "Well?" Then her face fell as she saw his disconsolate expression. "Is there anything wrong?" "Something funny's happened to the 10 results entries. Marks wants me to look into it." "Oh, Willie, isn't that just your luck? When you told me they sent for you, I thought it might be something good. Oh, Emily will be so disappointed too. She set her heart on something wonderful for you this Christmas." White was staring absently at an old copy of the Berkshire Herald, which lay open on the kitchen table. He read the headline automatically. Then he said, "Where is Emily? I want a word with her." "She's playing next door with Susan Berry. Can't it wait till she comes in?" "No. There's no time like the present. Besides, I might have to talk to Susan too while I'm about it." White went next door. He had his talk to Emily and Susan, and to Mr. Berry too. He extended his inquiry to a next-door neighbour on the other side, and then to various houses further down the street. Next day he pursued his investigations among his friends and acquaintances, and outwards in an ever-widening circle. all the people questioned were married men with young families, and everything he heard served to confirm the wild surmise that had come into his mind when he glanced at the newspaper headlines. Finally, he paid 2 additional visits, one to the offices of the Markshire Herald, the other to a dignified old house in Markhampton, Cathedral Close. Within 3 days he was back in the offices of Mark's Pools. "I've investigated the matter you complained of, sir." "Yes?" "One person is responsible for the winning lines in the 10 results pool for Boxing Day, and I interviewed him last night. He admits everything." "Who is it? I shall prosecute whoever it is." "As to prosecuting, sir, I'm not so sure. The man in question is the Reverend Canon Furbelow." "Canon Furbelow? Mr. White, are you trying to make a fool of me?" "Not at all, sir. He is the culprit, though he admits he would not have been as successful as he was if he had not had the assistance of a journalist who writes for the Herald under the name of John Straight." "But this is preposterous. Canon Furbelow is against pools or betting of any sort. I'm told he's been known to preach sermons against them." "Sermons against betting?" "Quite so, sir. A very powerful preacher is the canon, and it seems that it's his preaching that's at the bottom of the trouble in this case." The managing director mopped his brow with his handkerchief. "One of us is certainly mad. Possibly both. Will you kindly explain?" "Canon Furbelow conducted a series of children's services during Advent. They were very popular, and the cathedral was crowded for each of them. He's got a wonderful way with children, as the canon. My little girl Emily went to them. She was very impressed by him." "Confound your little girl, Emily! Will you kindly get to the point, if you have one?" "Well, I'm just coming to it, sir. His last sermon on the Sunday before Christmas was particularly eloquent. It attracted a good deal of attention. The journalist I mentioned just now happened to be in the cathedral on the occasion, and he made it the subject of a very striking article, which was read and commented on all over the city. Luckily the national newspapers didn't take it up, or the damage could have been much greater than it was. I have a copy of the article here, sir, if you would care to see it." The managing director waved it angrily away. "Unless it forecasts the results of the Boxing Day League matches, I don't." "Oh, it doesn't mention football, sir. What the sermon and the article dealt with was the beauty of unselfishness. Canon Furbelow reminded the children that at Christmas time they would all, quite rightly, be looking forward to the good things they were going to get, their presents and parties and so on. But he told them these were not the things they ought to ask for when they said their prayers. They should ask for things for others, and especially for those nearest and dearest to them. What a wonderful thing it would be, he said, if on Christmas Eve every child in Markhampton were to kneel down and pray that their parents should have their dearest wish granted to them. He drew a beautiful picture of all those innocent, unselfish supplications floating up to heaven together at that holy time of the year. The canon's got a great faith in the power of prayer, and a great gift for imparting his faith to others. Well, the children did what he told them, sir, and thanks to John Straight, his words went all over Markhampton and reached thousands of homes where the people didn't even go to church. The children's prayers were heard, and their parents got their heart's desire, and 53,619 of us had set our hearts on the 10 results pool." The managing director was silent for a time. "You don't believe all this stuff, do you?" "I don't know what else to believe. Canon Furbelow believes it anyway. Oh, by the way, sir, he was asking me, how much will the dividend on the 10 results work out at?" "Between all those people?" 2 shillings and 4pence. I told him it would be around that figure. He said there was a moral in that. I believe he means to make it the theme of his sermon next Sunday. Good day, sir.